Hello, happy Wednesday, and more importantly, you guys, happy Global Airway Health Day. Super important day. I'm getting to talk all day long about all things airway. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of a mixture here. First, let me introduce myself. If you do not know me, if you have not heard me rant, I'm Carmen. I'm a myofunctional therapist. I'm an educator, a speaker, a global practitioner of myofunctional therapy. So I have people all around the world that hear me rant about this stuff. So I'm super excited to be talking about it. I am recently a new airway advocate for the Foundation for Airway Health. And basically what I do is, it's really the same thing I've been doing, but I am working so hard with my clients, with my partners around the world for the recognition, diagnosis, and treatment of airway-related disorders. So this is not new to you if you've been following me for any amount of time. Before I get too far, let's just talk about my new blog that just popped, just dropped. The name of that, gosh, I had it here. It is about tongue posture, so proper tongue placement. If you have not read that, you can get that on my website. Let me put that here. Actually, I'll put it up here in just a minute. Great blog, but it's not what I'm talking about today. What I had originally planned on talking about today is what I'm reading and why you should be reading it too. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about Global Airway Health Day. I sent out an email to my, oh gosh, there's a bug in here. I sent out an email to my community, my tribe this morning, asking them for a pinky promise. And what I wanted in that pinky promise is that if anything in that email, and this long list of symptoms, signs and symptoms, if any of that resonated with them. So I'm going to ask the same of you. If any of what I'm talking about is resonating with you, if you say, that's me, that's my husband, that's my dad, gosh, that's bad, that is somebody I know and love, then if it's not you, then pinky promise that you're going to share this information with them because it's super important. So this list, and this is coming from the Foundation for Airway Health website. And again, this is something that I go through when I work with clients and I do a comprehensive exam. So I'm digging for all of this stuff, but I just want to go down this list because I want you to say, holy cow, that's me. I have all of those things. So going to get started. Bad breath. Crowded teeth. You guys have heard me talk about this. If you do not have proper craniofacial growth, if your kiddo is just a little pipsqueak and already has crowded teeth, guess what? That's going to be a concern as an adult. So that's misguided craniofacial growth. So big concern there. Deep overbite. Are you clenching or grinding? Again, if you have missed my blogs where I talk about this is your body's 911 crisis call, don't just let your dentist say, hey, you're grinding, let me give you an appliance. Dig deeper. You got to dig for that root cause resolution. You got to figure out why you're doing this. And I can tell you this, friends, that appliance that you pay money for, great hard-earned money, it's not stopping you from grinding. Sure, it's protecting your teeth, but it's not stopping it. It's just recording the evidence of the crime. So definitely important to tune into that. Do you have large tonsils and adenoids, or have you had them taken out? This is again an airway thing, and typically what happens is I get clients that say, yeah, I had my tonsils taken out because I was mouth breathing or I was snoring, or it clearly was an airway issue, and nobody ever told me that I needed to nasal breathe. So if this is you, have you corrected that habit, or are you still mouth breathing? Mouth breathing is the next on the list. Do you have narrow dental arches? So are you narrow here, or we talk about it being high and narrow? Ideally, the tongue will help spread that maxilla out, which drives the shape of the face, which drives the shape of your mandible, kind of like a lid on the box. So if you're really, really narrow and you have this high, narrow palate, definitely a concern. A recessed chin. So if you look at your profile, and if you look at your nose lip, lip, chin. And if you're slanted backwards, then that recessed chin, think about your airway. We want it to be nice and forward, so that can indicate a concern. Scalloped tongue, so that's telling you that your tongue is low. Do you have speech problems? What about tongue thrust? Did you have permanent teeth extracted? So I'm not talking wisdom teeth. I'm talking, normally this is premolars, but when you extract teeth out of a small mouth, you make a smaller mouth. So that definitely can indicate that you can have an airway related disorder. Trouble nursing as an infant. So this really goes back to a tongue tie. And when I talk about this question with clients, I'm digging for that information. Did you have trouble as an infant? Were you unable to latch? Did you have trouble breastfeeding? Were you colicky, sad, spit up, gassy? For crying out loud, people, do you know how many people tell me that their parents had to prop them up in the bed, in the crib? And it just cracks me. It's sad. But it just cracks me up that they just propped their kid up in the crib because that reflux. So the kiddo was better off being upright. Do you have a tongue tie? Did you have a tongue tie? Have something done about it, but now maybe you have all of these other concerns. Acid reflux, GERD, asthma, allergies. Are you craving carbs all the time? So are you making poor food choices? Do you have dark shading under the eyes here? So we talk about that a lot as an allergy shiner, but a lot of people will say, oh, it's just because I'm tired, but not really. Digestive issues. What about being sick a lot? Frequent ear infections, cold, tonsillitis. What about that chronic head and neck tension? Are you always miserable here? Do you always have tension here? That's very common with my clients. What about posture? Poor posture, bedwetting. Are you snoring? Are you loud breathing? How about sleep? So I talk a lot about this. What about sleep disturbances? Are your legs restless? Do you get up to go to the bathroom a lot? Do you talk? Do you walk? Sleep talking and sleepwalking is something that people just think it's kind of quirky, but it's definitely indicates a concern. Do you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? What about ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, anxiety, depression, memory problems, daytime fatigue? You guys, that list was this long. And that, if something on there is talking to you, then that's that pinky promise that I'm talking about. I want you to share it, share the information, or consider it for yourself. So what should you do if that's you? I talk about this a lot. Depends kind of on what you are, what your personality is. Some of you like to do me search, so you know at the bottom of any one of my blogs, and I'll put the link up here for you, that you can get my assessment tool. So that assessment tool is going to ask you 25 of the most common questions, and a lot of them are going to be about those things that I just talked about, those symptoms. Tongue tie, that kind of stuff. So you can do that. That's a great place to do me search. The problem is once you do that, you need to do something with that information. So if you say, yeah, my name is Carmen and I answered 23 out of 25, then you got to talk to a person. So it doesn't need to be me, but you need to talk to a myofunctional therapist who is going to help guide you, who's going to set you straight. Like in my role as an airway advocate, that is what I have to work on every day with everybody, and that's just helping identify, helping you understand, helping diagnose these concerns so that you know that it's not normal, that it's not just your normal. The other thing that you can do, and I've shared this a little bit, is I recently have done a lot of teaching on becoming a VHP. So that's a vital, healthy person. If you have any of these things that I just talked about, that list, you can't be a vital, healthy person, because when you have an airway concern, when you don't have good quality sleep, when your body's not getting the oxygen it needs, you don't have motivation, you don't have energy, you're not making good food choices. Most of you have weight issues, or you might have diabetes, hypertension, insomnia, depression, anxiety. All of these things, you can't be that vital, healthy person if you have all of these other things. So you can use this link right here that is shown right there. You can watch my webinar replay if that interests you. The most important thing is that you don't just ignore it. So that is helpful. Also, before I talk about the books, I want to talk about what I'm going to talk about next week. So it will be the top 6 things that I think people should be evaluating. And these are actually the things that I talk about in the VHP. So you're going to get double duty, or you can tune in next week. You cannot get too much of this information by any means. Okay, we've got all that stuff out of the way. Let's talk about really the books. You guys, I think, you know I'm a reader. Most of my students are all big readers. And so I really wanted to talk about what I'm reading and why I think you should be reading it. And I couldn't come up with just one book, because if you look behind me, you can see there's so many books that I'm always reading. I'm always getting better so that I can serve you guys better. So I have 4 books here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. I think that if you have these kind of questions about myofunctional impairment, in addition to talking to me, it's important to learn about different things. So 2 of the books that I have read and I continue to read over and over, this one is called Early Sirens, and it's by Dr. Felix Liao. And this is about critical health warnings and holistic mouth solutions for snoring, teeth grinding, jaw clicking, chronic pain, and fatigue. There is so much information in this book. I just feel like it's completely, I mean, if you look through here, it's completely, I just have lines everywhere. There is so much information. So I like to recommend this book, and then 6 Foot Tiger, 3 Foot Cage, which is also by Dr. Felix Liao. And this is kind of the same thing. I can't remember which order they go. I think, yeah, I don't know which order they go. I recommend these for my older clients. Not that anybody can't read them, but this is so much great information for my clients who just kind of have snowballing health concerns. This is great for those of you who suspect that you have an airway breathing disorder, you know, that kind of stuff, and it's affecting other things. If you're having trouble with weight management or memory, anxiety, depression, insomnia, all of those, that list of stuff, then you're going to find amazing pieces of information in these books. And I would say, if you read these, reach out to me and tell me that you read them, because I want to know how you like them. I love them. I get something out of these books every week, for sure. Okay, and then these 2 books. So this one is called Jaws. This is a book that I recommend to really, well, anybody, but a lot of my parents who, or potential clients who reach out to me about their children. The other book, the same thing, The Dental Diet by Dr. Stephen Lin, because so many people, you know, considering that I see people around the world, so many parents reach out to me and they know that that their child is too young for me to work with them. However, they want to learn. And I turn the parents to these 2 books and I say, read these so that you can understand why watching for misguided craniofacial growth with your kid is important. Why doing something about, or digging if your kid's having speech concerns, why it's so important for your child to eat. That's probably something that I repeat so often each week is nasal breathing. Your kid needs to be nasal breathing and have their mouth closed and be eating food. Chew, 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 because that nasal breathing is going to facilitate proper craniofacial growth, and so is eating. So these 2 books are very helpful for parents who are trying to understand what the concerns are. They learn about epigenetics. They learn about the work of Dr. Weston Price and different doctors who are studying other populations of people and learning that chewing, you know, that's going to help. That's going to help with the facial growth. So even though a child might be too small or too young, or not ready to be compliant to do myofunctional therapy, parents can get so much information from these, and that's just going to give a step up. So super helpful. So I threw 4 books at you guys. Super great reading material. Like I said, I'm in these books all the time, giving people information from them. That's it. Remember, Global Airway Health Day. If you made a pinky promise and you need to talk to me, then you can get a free assessment. You can get your quick assessment tool. It doesn't cost you a dime to talk to me for 30 minutes. We're going to talk about what your concerns are, whether it makes sense to move on to a paid comprehensive exam. We'll meet and see if I'm even the person for you. You know, I always talk about it being important that we have a personality match. And if you and I are like oil and water, I've got somebody I can refer you to. So, and share this, okay? Also, I will put this up all the time that, you know, we're small, we're growing. The community of tongue tie and myofunctional therapy support group is growing very, very quickly. And I love that. It's a mix of people. Of course, it's my group. I facilitate it, but I have so many different, I have other myofunctional therapists. I have doctors. I have, you name it, in that group. It's growing. The most important thing is share this. I will be creating a blog. Most of you guys know that as soon as I'm done here, I create a blog of this video. I kind of go through the highlights, so you can send anybody to my website and they can get that. Let me see if I have the blog. No. Oh yeah, there I do right there. So the myofunctional therapy for you, that's the number 4, the letter u.com/blog, and they can get this. So just share, and it's very well-intentioned information. So next week I'm going to be back here talking about the top 6 things you can be screening for. Also, you guys, I'm going to Nashville soon to an airway conference. So again, my path of passion. So you can expect that I'm going to be bringing you back some great information. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.